Roman is the biggest bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Bro, less people wanted that than are currently watching our stream.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello. Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast. I am Matt Cascone, joined here with James Hizante. How you doing tonight, James?
I am exhausted from the busiest week of wrestling there is, but man, do I feel amazing as we are covering Smackdown, and I am currently watching New Japan Windy City Riot.
Ooh, sounds like fun.
I'm too much wrestling.
Well,
we got to add a night to the week.
WrestleMania is over, but as they always say in WWE, there is no off season. So we had Monday Night Raw, which James and some of the guys were at. I was not, and now we are covering the first episode of SmackDown in this new era. And kicking off this new era, we have Cody Rhodes. Cody comes out to the Detroit crowd. The Detroit crowd is very loud. My mom's in the background. It's all good, Mom. Good to see you.
Hi, Mom.
James says hi. Oh, she says hi back.
Let her know I think she raised a cool son.
Cool. I will let her know. It was very nice seeing your folks as well at Mania. We'll try and share that picture of us all together at some not another night. So anyway, back to the show. Cody opens up. He's got the title. The crowd in Detroit, they're saying you deserve it. Very, very hot crowd. He goes over the 6 potential contenders for his title. And this is one of those things, like he makes everyone sound like viable in a certain amount of way, or at least he's entertaining, he's interesting. He even name drops the NWA, referring to the fact that out of these 6 competitors and himself, only him and AJ Styles have been both WWE champion and the NWA's World Heavyweight Champion. But like I said, this is the one thing I don't like with WWE, that I think AEW, maybe they don't always succeed, but they at least try to do better, is to set up contenders. We have these 6 guys. Do you want to tell the crowd, do you want to tell our audience who the 6 people were, James?
Sure. We have 2 triple threats being set up for tonight. On one match, we have Santos Escobar. We have Bobby Lashley, the Almighty. And we have L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
And on the other side of the bracket, we have Kevin Owens. We have AJ Styles, the phenomenal one. And we have the master of the 619, Booyaka Rey Mysterio.
Booyaka. So this is what I don't like right off the bat. It's like, how do we come up with these 6 guys? AJ Styles just lost his match at WrestleMania. Santos Escobar lost his match at WrestleMania. They don't have any kind of rankings or anything that really makes sense. It's just fly by the seat of their pants. And it's just also ridiculous because they do have general managers who could be the ones announcing like these matchups and these contenders, and they could figure out some kind of way they did it. Anyway, I just wasn't a huge fan of that right off the bat. But again, very hot crowd, solid mic work always from Cody.
Did you catch the Brandy Rhodes quote?
What was it?
I didn't know this was open mic night, bitch. That was Brandy's quote to Jade Cargill back during Jade's AEW debut years ago at this point.
I completely forgot because I remember that it was a really good line. And it was like, did he repeat that line verbatim from somebody else? Or was it somebody else? It got lost on me. but that's great. And I should have remembered that because I did watch Jade's debut live. So good catch there, James. I wonder if
it's okay. I'll forgive you for not immediately knowing that obscure reference. How dare you?
Yeah, but no, great line nonetheless. Whether you're hearing it for the first time or the second time, it was fun. And Cody, he even kind of pulled a little Captain America afterwards, and he's like, "Sorry for swearing." You know, I don't know what's come over me, but just a fun little promo. What did you think overall?
I thought it was a good way of one establishing that Cody is technically still a SmackDown champion right now. You know, we saw him on Monday night, which of course you should. It's the night after WrestleMania, but this title has been long associated with SmackDown because of Roman's allegiance to SmackDown. So I know we have a draft coming up and we don't know where the pieces are going to land, but at this point, Cody is the champion of this show. So great way to start the Cody era of SmackDown, no matter how brief it may be. The promo itself was, you know, your standard affair. You know, I'm the champ. I do like his line about no longer being the hunter, but he is the hunted. And this is something that's new to Cody. He's not used to being the hunted. He's used to being on the prowl. He was on the prowl in AEW. He was on the prowl in New Japan. And sure, he's won championships before, but never the top championship. Although I guess we'll just ignore the Ring of Honor world title. But you know he does, as well as I love that he referenced the NWA World Championship. But he was champion for like a cup of coffee. He won it to lose it back to Aldis. And quite frankly, the fact that it's been acknowledged, I would very much like to see Aldis bring that up to him. I think that would be cool. I doubt they will, but I would love to see it. But good standard promo to get the show started, get the crowd hype. And I know your issues with the contenders make total sense. I'm not going to tell you, well, Matt, come on. But the thing we do need to realize is basically everybody that was in these two triple threats were WrestleMania opponents or WrestleMania contenders. These were guys who were featured on the biggest show of the year. And win or lose, that still puts you on a higher echelon than people like, and no offense to any name I'm going to mention here, but the Shinsuke Nakamura's, the Bronson Reeds, you know, like Tiffany Stratton talks about it later on that she was upset she didn't get onto Mania, you know, the way Naomi did. And is Tiffany probably the hotter act than Naomi? Absolutely. She should be upset that she's not on WrestleMania. So they're putting over the fact that win or lose, you being in the Super Bowl of wrestling still makes you a champion in one way or another. So I get your issues. I don't think you're wrong. But as somebody who's been watching wrestling as long as I have been, there is a weird history of whoever loses at WrestleMania tends to go on to become the number one contender immediately after WrestleMania. So this is just more of the same as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I can see that, but then from that logic, it's also like, why wasn't Karrion Kross or Randy Orton considered? I guess Karrion Kross, did he move to NXT for that on Tuesday?
I mean, he's probably moving to the unemployment line sooner than later. He's probably moving back. Is CYN hiring? Do you know?
CYN?
Control your narrative.
Yes, sorry.
Man, damn, you let me down. That was a good burn. And it went.
Clown posse. I don't know why. I'm like, that's not right.
All right, moving on. I guess I just have these dated references now. You know, the pandemic has a whole lifetime of wrestling happened during the pandemic, and we're just gonna move past it. But yeah, look, I get it. Randy, he's not in it because they're saving Randy for Cody as a big feud. You know that. It's gonna be a big one. And quite frankly, Karrion Kross, he's the exception, I guess, to the rule I was saying before, because Karrion Kross hasn't won anything ever.
Yeah. He can't spin anything anymore. Like, I don't know. Well, that's a discussion for another night because we're trying to make this episode short so James can get to New Japan. So next up, we have the Bloodline, and by Bloodline I mean Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, and Paul Heyman in the back, going to their, private dressing room, and it now has Cody's name on it. And hilariously, Kevin Owens walks by, opens up the door. He has a great joke that unfortunately it gets a little bit muffled by the crowd noise, and that's a shame. But I still heard it; it was still funny, and I feel like if they really wanted to put this in like a highlight video package, they could always like boost it up, with the levels. But he says, "You're not invited. I think there's a broom closet over there." He closed the door. Just always great material from KO. And we go on to the first of the triple threat matches. We have Bobby Lashley versus Santos Escobar. I'll let you do the pronunciation on that as much as I like to. I unfortunately too white for that.
Santos Escobar.
See, I can do a pretty good role.
You can't. I'm sure.
I'll save it for private discussions. And then we have, of course, L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
There we go. And that's in our first triple threat match. They get started. Santos is wrestling in a shirt the whole time. This annoyed me. It seemed very... I feel like some guys can wrestle in shirts and some guys can't.
It's a weird thing because if you watch outside of WWE, lots of people on smaller shows will wrestle in shirts. Like it's a big New Japan thing. You see a lot of the Japanese guys, if they're not wrestling on a pay-per-view, they're going to be wrestling in like shirts and like lesser gear. And I think it's a harder thing to justify on weekly TV because on weekly TV, you're trying to say that everything is important every week. But yeah, no, it's a little jarring. It's definitely a little jarring.
One, you got a dog barking.
I know. I don't know why. Wendy's going crazy.
It's all right. We'll deal. Secondly, the thing with WWE, my good buddy Ben, who I'll introduce you to sometime, he calls it Butch League, and I can't disagree with him. There's guys that can get away with it. Guys like KO, it's been his look for years. It works. If he's not wearing shorts and a t-shirt, he's wearing a singlet, which is basically the same thing. But like, if you're a guy who like has trunks and is in really good shape, like Santos Escobar, you gotta pop that t-shirt off, man.
That might be why he might not have been able to hit the gym this week. He might have been feeling a little puffy. Legit. That's legit why these guys do it sometimes. Like I remember a big guy, and I know I mentioned him. Mentioned the brand already. Kenny Omega. When Kenny wasn't wrestling on pay-per-views, he had like lesser gear, and he would sometimes be rocking the tank top. He'd be rocking the cutoff tee, and it's just because he's admitted it. I haven't been able to pump this week. Not looking my best. You get the t-shirt this week.
Anywho, this was a decent match. We've noticed some new camera work since, this new era. And one of the things they did is typically they'll do it in the hallways and go into the crowd. This was interesting today. I'm not sure if it was the first time. It was the first time they went from like the entrance, walked down the rampway. Bobby Lashley has Santos propped up in the corner, and they walk up to the corner. They even walk up the steps.
They've been doing it a little bit. This isn't the first time, but it's amazing every time.
Yeah, and it was just like even walking up the steps, it was impressive that there was not a lot of shaking with the camera, and I think it was a little too long, but that's just a very small nitpick. I like that they're trying new things, and they took a pretty, I don't want to say it's a boring spot, but like a not a huge crazy spot, like something that has a lot of setup.
Yeah.
Cinematic, like Mr. Penguin says in our comments.
Yeah.
It's cool that they're doing stuff like that, and I appreciated that. It turned into a superplex with LA Knight involved as well.
Yeah. Then
Santos's goons get involved, and they pop their shirts off, which pissed me off even more about Santos. It's like, this is the time. This is your moment. I don't care if you're bloated. there's enough guys in the ring that we won't notice. Take your shirt off. Take the damn shirt off. Like, this is when I get really gay with wrestling. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's like I came here to watch you wrestle without your shirt on. Take that shirt off right now. Thoughts, James?
Anyway, no, I mean, I get it. You want these guys to look like their best selves, and you know, as someone with OCD, maybe we got to talk. You know, maybe we're going to discover some things about you. But yeah, let's see. Penguin in the comments saying the video package before the big matches has been great. I agree. They've really been going for the cinematic feel, like you said in an earlier comment lately with WWE, and they've always had the best production value. WWE has always had the best production value, but lately it feels like they've been stepping up their game across the board. Having watched Mania after coming home and being there live for it, I missed when I was a kid. They used to do like a little edit, little video packet of the show. And for a couple of years, they stopped doing it. They did it this year, and it was just so cool. It was so grand, and it just made everything that they highlighted feel that much more important. So, yeah, man, loving WWE's production right now. Penguin also saying the Usos video package was great, but the Jimmy versus Jay match was meh. Look, every year there's got to be a match that is the weakest of the weekend. Unfortunately, this was the one for WrestleMania. But in my opinion, both Usos made up for it with their contribution to the main event of night 2. That spear off the ramp is that is the video package. That's the highlight reel year that we're going to remember in a few years. We're all going to think, yeah, the match was meh, but I'm also going to remember that huge ass spear that Jay hit on Jimmy.
I think they were just probably really happy to have the match. Like, sure, would they have done better? No, but I think they got their moment, and that's what they always wanted. So I think they can always take something away from that. Exactly. And again, we talked about it on the WrestleMania review that we did, but if you missed it, I said it was like him spearing. It looked like he speared him off the abyss, like going into death. And as far as video packages, I even forgot to mention they have a new video intro. I don't know if they did it on Monday or not, but I noticed it tonight that, WWE then, now, forever together. The new one, it's really, really good. Not that the old one was bad, but yeah, they continue to step it up. And, so there's something new and exciting and fun for everybody. Back to this match. Yeah, LWO get involved, then the Pride get involved, and then LA Knight pins. Bobby Lashley goes for the spear on Santos Escobar. Santos dodges it. Bobby hits the post, goes to the outside, and then I believe LA Knight hits Santos with the blunt force trauma for the 1-2-3. He's in the number 1 contender match for the WWE title. That's the end of the match. What'd you think, James?
I liked all the drama. When you have a triple threat, it's inherently no DQ, so you're allowed to play with some shenanigans. So I didn't mind LWO getting involved. I didn't mind the Street Profits getting involved, but I think it should.
I said LWO. It's Legado del Fantasma.
Oh, thank you. You're right. My bad.
Set you up for that.
It's okay. It was a team effort of failure. I liked all of that happening. I just wish it led more directly to the finish, because in the end, it turned out to have no real effect on the match. Bobby eliminated himself from the match, and then Santos got caught by LA Knight avoiding Bobby. So if you take out all that interference, it did nothing. It added to the drama of, I guess, what could be a feud moving forward. But we'll see on that. And LA Knight is probably the right guy to win, but we'll talk about it later as we get to the main event and everything. But I'm very intrigued with the direction that they're going. But Knight is just too hot not to capitalize on, I think, in my opinion.
He's definitely the hottest of the three. I think all three are great. I actually happen to be a big fan of Santos Escobar. And Bobby has had some really, really great moments as well.
I'm a big Bobby guy.
Yes, you are. I wish we had that picture of you and Bobby at Yankee Stadium to pull
Yeah,
up.
right.
But yeah, this match was fine for me. Just it's like inoffensive. The right won. Everyone got something to do in this match. Really, my only big complaint was Santos Escobar not taking off his shirt, but I'll get over it. We're gonna move on.
We'll talk about it in Market Down Therapy afterwards.
I should do like a fashionista type video. Speaking of which, was this LA Knight's WrestleMania gear that he was wearing tonight?
I'll be very honest with you. I have no idea. Again, I keep saying it and it sounds braggadocious, but being there are certain details that you miss and you don't focus on as much. And his match, I enjoyed the match enough. It's very lucky that Jimmy and Jay was the weakest match of the week. Otherwise, I think AJ LA would probably have been the weakest match of the week. But I take that back. It would have probably been the Pride versus AOP and Cross. But regardless, I didn't notice the gear, so it could have been, but I'm not entirely sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean that was the match I missed, switching seats, but it looked like great gear, maroon color. It was his Mania gear. I liked it. But we'll move on regardless. Let's see. Okay, so now we have the LWO, Latino World Order, not the Legato World Order, and they're in the back. All of them, they're like full, Dragon Lee's back. They're in full force, and they're getting interviewed by the lovely Kayla Braxton back in the locker room.
Yep.
And going over how he wants to win his triple threat match. He's got one more world title run in him. He's a Hall of Famer, running down his accolades. Then there's a weird, I imagine someone accidentally walked into the set because you heard a rumbling and they kind of looking over like they were going to get interrupted by somebody, like maybe Legato, the Legato guys.
Yeah.
They kind of just awkwardly move past it and it feels like they skipped a line or something. Like Carlito goes into saying that something like Legato no cap or something like that. So it was kind of jarring and bizarre. Not really important. Isn't a super huge important segment of the show.
Oh, I got to disagree with you, buddy, because they are continuing the mystery. Oh, just got to acknowledge our boy here. Nas, what up, buddy? Hope you're doing well, man. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here with us. But they're continuing the mystery of who attacked Dragon Lee. Whether it was Santos Escobar or Ridge Holland or whatever, karma was going to bite them. And then they acknowledge that Kayla brings up the fact that Escobar said earlier in the night that he still doesn't take responsibility for it. So the mystery of who attacked Dragon Lee and who took him out of the match is still very much in play. I think we all kind of know who it is. He's pretty cool, but the actions weren't. What?
No, I wanted to say Carlito.
But yeah. So I don't know. Again, a huge segment, no, but it definitely had an important story thread that they're definitely going to continue going on with SmackDown.
You're right. I still wonder the mystery of who accidentally walked in on the set and almost derailed.
Priorities. Some of us are worried about the story. Some of us are worried about who threw the pie in Kevin Owens' face a few years ago. So I get it. Nas saying, I acknowledge Tama Tonga. I acknowledge you acknowledging Tama Tonga, but we'll talk about that in a bit, buddy. And Penguin saying definitely Carlito did it. We don't appreciate spoilers here.
That's not cool.
Not cool. But don't worry, I don't have any apples on me. But let's move on.
Yes. Now we get to the main headline of our episode. We have the Bloodline segment. So Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, and Paul Heyman come to the ring. Paul Heyman kind of goes on a rant promo. It's good, but it more or less just explains everything that the internet was able to figure out on our own. about like the situation that happened at Mania, that Seth Rollins was the Shield, and he did just that. He shielded Cody Rhodes from Roman Reigns, and Roman, all this pent up frustration with Seth Rollins over the past 10 years. He took that aggression out on Seth Rollins when Cody was right there. Cody was able to take advantage, and that's why Cody won 1, 2, 3. He didn't make any excuses. He didn't blame John Cena or The Undertaker or Jey Uso, but he still basically explained it. And it's entertaining enough because it's Paul Heyman. But at the same time, it felt like I was just kind of getting beat over the head with information. It felt like we were laying down a lot of pipe, as they say in the movies.
So I got to tell you, you are right. There is a good, healthy portion of the audience that this information was just a replay of what we already saw and what we already knew. You'd be shocked how much of the community haven't been able to put together that context with Seth. I feel like this wasn't like for the people in the back who are still trying to catch up. I feel like this was an important just exposition. And I get it. You knew it. I knew it. We all knew it. We discussed it here on the pod right after Mania. And if you've been like paying attention to the old stuff that Seth had been saying to Cody, you're able to do it on your own. But I think this was done because so many people have been dogging Seth for getting no offense in that match and looking like a jabroni to many. So I get it. It sucks that we had to, but I get why they did it. There were people who needed this segment. But yeah, no, I hear you.
I hear what you're saying too, and I will admit it. Like being there, I think if I was at home, it would have registered more with me at Mania, because my initial thought at Mania is like I basically got it. Part of it though, like I did think, Seth, man, you kind of looked like a loser not getting any offense in, and then you said it to me like he was literally the Shield. I'm like, like I got to start with his Roman hitting him with the chair, but I digress. And also, I guess it makes sense from a standpoint if you maybe you weren't watching Mania, maybe you didn't see Mania, but everyone's talking about it, so you're like, maybe I'll tune into Smackdown and see what all this is about.
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt to get this crash course.
Yeah.
Anywho, so with this segment, then Solo kind of like is doing the close talker with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman stops talking. Solo is just like, yo, you said there's gonna be consequences for losing, right? And this was terrible coming from Solo. Like,
no. I will not accept negativity. I will not accept negativity from you on this one.
He hasn't won. If he had won that, all he needed to do was win that match against Seth on Monday, and that would have been like, okay.
But he didn't lose that match.
But he didn't win it.
It doesn't matter if you. There is a difference. There is a huge difference from not winning and losing, and that was an instance of not winning, not losing.
But
so
he won the last 20 matches before that.
All at house shows. That was the worst fucking thing to have come out at the worst timing, because none of those matches count. The last match that anybody remembers this jabroni having is against Cena.
And when was that?
Couldn't tell you, but he won it.
I think it was like September.
He won it. That's the point I'm making. Look, do I agree with you? This was a weird thing because of Solo, his usage, yes, but on the same token, Solo, we got to remember why Solo is part of the Bloodline. He was sent by the elders to help Roman keep things in line, and to some extent help keep Roman in line. So if anybody is going to be this catalyst for change in the Bloodline, it had to be Solo Sikoa.
Anywho, Solo hugs Jimmy.
You know I'm right.
Says, I love you. You're my brother. Then a magic figure comes into, not a hooded figure. Kicks Jimmy's ass. It's not Jacob Fatu, but Tama Tonga. And it makes sense. I think Jacob is probably going to go to NXT because Tama Tonga has been doing this a really long time. You know, he's more seasoned. He finally makes his WWE debut. They do call him Tama Tonga, son of Haku. He's the adopted son of Haku.
Adopted son. Tonga Loa is the birth son of Haku. Tama Tonga. And Hikuleo is also, I believe, the birth son of Haku. Tama Tonga is the adopted son of Haku.
So, yes. So, anyway, they just say son of Haku. They don't get into specifics, and that's fine. Just something to note. So, he's kicking Jimmy's ass. Then Solo, Samoan spikes Jimmy. So, basically, Jimmy's ousted from the Bloodline. They also do the spot where they put Jimmy's head in the chair, put him in the corner, and Solo does the running, you know, stink face, whatever you want to call it.
Hip attack.
Yeah,
hip attack.
Matt Riddle to take him out for as many months.
Umaga's old move. Yeah.
I think what's important to note here is that Paul Heyman isn't in on any of this.
Paul Heyman is mortified. He is terrified of the actions of Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. Was not expecting Tama Tonga there. And when he tried calling Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa takes the phone out of Paul's hand, throws it to the ground, and crushes it with his heel. Bless you.
Thank you. He also says, I think right before the chair thing in the corner, Paul screams, "This is not what the tribal chief wants."
Yep.
So very interesting to note there. And that's basically the segment ends. The three of them leave. Jimmy is dead. How'd you feel about this segment?
I loved it. You seem so down on it, but I loved it. I loved it. I am now that the title is away from Roman, I am so reinvigorated in my love for the Bloodline. Rock did a great job of getting us through Mania season, but I think we could all admit we were getting burnt out. Even if you're a Roman fan like me, I am a huge Roman fan. We were getting burnt out with the title in the Bloodline, and we all I don't know if we all agree, but a good amount of us will say you didn't need the title for the majority of this story this last year. That if Cody had won last year, the majority of the story that the Bloodline went through this year could have been told as is. So, you know, now that the title feels like a shackle that's been removed from the Bloodline, they're going to get really creative, and there are some very exciting possibilities they could take this story. And I think this is going to ultimately result in a face turn for Roman down the line. I think we're going to see the Usos reunited, which that scares me a little bit.
Same.
Because Jimmy definitely needs it, but I'm going to be really upset if Jay doesn't get a singles title somewhere, somehow. Doesn't need to be the world title. It could be a secondary title. It could be the U.S. title. It could be the Intercontinental title, whichever. But it's going to be a real bummer if main event Jey Uso never gets that one shot on his own to be a champion. So that will upset me a little bit. But I am very ready to cheer Roman again. I am very ready to see this Bloodline story take a big turn and a big twist. So let's see. Oh, let's just address the comments real quick. Nas saying he thought the segment was really well done. I'm with you there, brother. Paul Heyman is the GOAT. He laid it out perfectly. Man, it's like we're like this. We're like this, bro. Penguin saying Solo made an executive decision that he did, or he's answering to the elders. Who knows? Navarro, sup, Navarro? Welcome, buddy. Thank you for being here. Sup, boys? SmackDown was so damn good. Holy shnikes. Lots of wrestling again. Less promos, Navarro said, and he loved it. And then last comment from Navarro, Roman was bigger than the belt. But I will say, Cody overcoming the story from 39 to 40, I didn't mind Roman holding it then. Roman's tribal chief lay is the big title right now. To an extent, I agree, but it's a title, like, I'm going to compare it to something that is so minuscule from another company, but the logic is there. It's the equivalent of, like, the FTW title in AEW. It's one of those things, there's only a few people that it really matters if they're holding it, and they all have to be somewhat related to Hook. And it's the same thing with the tribal lay. Sure, if Cody Rhodes took the tribal lay from Roman, would I be going, what the fuck? Absolutely. But it's not going to mean as much.
I'd be like, cultural appropriation.
Exactly. So in some shape or form, there needs to be retribution for Jey Uso, with Jey getting a win over Roman somehow, somewhere. And I think we're going to see Samoans and Tongans, which, let me address right now for everybody. There is a difference from being Tongan and from being a Samoan. They're different islands, guys. It's different people. Tama Tonga is not Samoan. He is Tongan. So just education for everybody. We're all learning together. So, yes, I think we're going to see a lot of Polynesian blood being spilled soon. And I'm all for it. All for it.
I did not hate this segment. I just wish Solo had more wins going in. And I didn't need the extra explanation from Paul Heyman, but I didn't even hate that either. That was my only note. Great to see Tama Tonga. I'm very excited. Yeah. I think it was a great introduction. I do feel bad for Jimmy because I do actually love Jimmy, and I want him to have something. Is Rock's belt like
Well, all right. One belt comes from Taz. One belt comes from Muhammad Ali's family. I will let you decide, Penguin, which belt you'd rather have.
Anywho, love for Taz. I as far as people beating Roman, I'd love to see Sammy get to beat Roman one-on-one more than I'd like to see Jey beat Roman one-on-one.
That's crazy. That's interesting. That's all you.
I do really want Jey to win a title, even if it's something like the North American title, which I know people are like, oh, it's NXT, it's not as hot. I think it's one of the best looking titles WWE has.
It's a good-looking belt, but it's not an important belt. It's why they let Dominic Mysterio have it. He needed to have something shiny around his waist, but Jey is so much further along.
I thought it worked, but...
It worked for Dom. I don't think it would work for Jey.
You're probably right there, but it's like, if I would take it over nothing, you know what I mean? Only other note about this segment is Tama Tonga almost slipped when he returned into the. So glad, and good for him, because that would have been embarrassing. Did you know?
No, I did. There's been a lot of slippery ring stuff these last few weeks, no matter what company you're in. One of the FTR guys slipped on Wednesday as they were attacking the Bucks. So it's just dry your rings, guys. Dry your rings.
Check your shoes.
Look who we got in the comments. Dev, what up, guys? What up, Dev? Always a pleasure to have you here, buddy. Hope you've been enjoying the wrestling this week. Mr. Penguin, Jey versus Logan Paul would feed families. Yes. Give it to me. Give it to me. I think we're at a point where we could get Jey back on SmackDown. Let's do it. Or we get draft. Yeah, the draft is coming. So let's do it. I am all for that. That is a great pick, and I think they would have great styles, a great styles clash. Great pick there, Penguin.
I'm still hoping for LA Knight versus Logan Paul for the title, but I think that is still a great pick. I don't hate it. So we thank you for the suggestion, putting her into the stratosphere. You know, maybe it'll happen. We'll see. You certainly could do worse.
Yeah.
Let's move on. We got the next match. It's Braun Breaker versus Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes still employed. Good for
Cameron Grimes. Lucky to have a job, Cameron Grimes. I take that back. I actually really like Cameron Grimes, but I don't know how that guy is holding on right now.
I don't know either. Like, we had a personal run-in years ago. Like, so he's not my favorite, but I will admit that I do think he's talented, and he was super over in NXT. They've given him nothing to do on the main roster. Braun Breaker comes out to new music, squashes him. There's a couple botches in a row, not great. And Braun, this just feels like a dude who, after the Rumble, should have gone away, wrapped up in NXT, and debuted tonight. Because it's just kind of like, why wasn't he on Mania? Because there's no room. Okay, then why is he on the main roster? Should wait until...
He wasn't really wrestling, though. He just got signed, didn't he?
Yeah, but it was still dumb. It's like, just make it a surprise tonight. And then it's like, wow, Braun Breaker. Like,
Yeah, no, I guess I agree. I guess I agree. They made it very clear. I didn't really watch most of. I do not really keep up with NXT, but I saw the clips of them giving Braun his like send off in NXT. That he lost the tag titles with Baron Corbin at Stand and Deliver, then
they wanted Stand and
Deliver. Yes, they wanted Stand and Deliver, and then lost it on NXT this last Tuesday, and then Corbin gave him a really nice send off, So yeah, we knew it was coming, but you have a good point. They probably should. I know that is more to do with the feud between Aldis and Pierce, but I don't think it really would have mattered if they had done it then or today. So I agree with you. They probably should have just waited.
And they also had Jade Cargill to fill that role of like, who's this person going to sign with? And this person's going to SmackDown. So it's like they just had more that they didn't need, in my personal opinion. Do you have any thoughts on this match at all? Or
I'm rooting for Braun. I think he is a guy that if they're patient and they feed him people the right way, he could, not to compare them because they're two very different talents, but it's the energy. He could be what people wanted Ryback to be years ago.
That's what I was thinking.
So again, I think Braun is light years ahead of Ryback. I think he is so much better than Ryback. But that big, tough adrenaline guy, I think the similarities are there. And they fumbled Ryback due to unfortunate circumstances with Cena getting injured. And as long as they're patient and they don't rush him, I think we got a good future for this kid.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Next up, we have AJ Styles promo for his triple threat match. And this is just kind of whatever. I don't really pay much attention to AJ at this point. I just find him boring. I will say it was interesting. He said, I might be but he basically said of Kevin Owens and Rey Mysterio that he would walk over their dead bodies to get to, where he needs to go. Very reminiscent of his old buddy Christopher Daniels saying he would have Adam Cole's like blood on his hands and like not even wipe the blood off his hands before picking up the ROH world title.
Those TNA guys, they have some angst to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's keep going. I agree. The promo is whatever.
Bayley comes out to her new music that she debuted at WrestleMania.
They were hyping her up all night too. They were really hyping up the Bayley appearance. Multiple backstage walking segments.
I didn't cover those, and you are correct. I really liked her outfit here. And honestly, personally, there was a whole thing about she wanted Paramore at WrestleMania. Paramore said they would love to do it, but there was scheduling conflicts, so they didn't do it. I think they should have just bought Paramore's music for Bayley, and that should be her permanent music from now on. She's obviously not making the big bucks of Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, or Sasha Banks. I feel like, come on, just get her the music. I feel like that's got to equate somehow.
I think they will eventually. I think they are waiting for when Paramore could actually do her entrance eventually. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if they do it at SummerSlam. I wouldn't be shocked if they do it at one of the big four. And maybe from that point on, they switch over. But I get there wanting to be a moment where it makes sense to turn it over.
I kind of see what you're saying, like the first time it being live. I don't really see it like that. Like, I think, like, I love how CM Punk had Cult of Personality.
Yeah.
WrestleMania, like, Living Color was there live. And it's like, oh my God, this is crazy. So yeah. I see it working either way. I'm hopeful for the suggestion that you just made. Hopefully that's what happens. She cuts a promo. First off, they've brought back the 4K camera on the entrances. Love that. I know this
8K camera.
The what?
8K camera.
8K. Okay. So, and she looks great. But sometimes you worry about those cameras being so high def that like sometimes you're gonna start seeing those.
Don't put that shit on me. My pores will be exposed. No, thank you.
But Bayley looked great. Even if she didn't look great, that'd be okay. But I just compliments to Bayley. I like this promo that she, the one, you know, it's a basic like face celebration promo. Like it's pretty, it's not bad, but it's stuff you've all heard before. I did like that she put over the roster. She said, like, I'm so proud to have this title, but not only for like me, but for like everyone in the back, because this is like the best roster that I've ever been a part of. So I really like that. Tiffany interrupts. Tiffany, who we did not, this is the second person that we've talked about tonight that was not on Mania, and also the second person I believe that should not have debuted on the main roster till now.
Oh, I disagree on that. I was with you on Breaker. I disagree with you about Tiffy. She's so over. The crowd is so into her.
Absolutely they are, but the fact that they couldn't get anything for her at Mania is inexcusable. I think they really should have brought back, at the very least, they should have brought back the Mae Young Battle Royal. They've only done it twice. It hasn't been back since 35, I think. They've brought back the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I don't know why we don't have Battle Royal, whether it's Mania or not.
Sorry. I agree with you, but the reality is not everyone's going to make it to Mania. There are guys and girls that should have been on Mania, or at the very least, we could say, I'm sad they didn't make it to Mania. But not everyone can be at Mania. That's what makes it so important. Tiffany is super young. And you know what? People are going to say, I'm pissed that she wasn't at Mania. Good. Get that hunger going. Get people hungry for next year. That way, when she's there, people are going to be like, she finally fucking earned it. So I get what you're saying. I do. I think it's a different situation because Braun was still tied up in NXT. He was still doing things in NXT. Tiffany was done with the roster. She had won the title. She had lost the title. She was just a lame duck in NXT. I think it was the right move. She was super over at the Royal Rumble. They capitalized on it. They got her some big wins going into Mania season. Granted, tonight fucking eradicated that, in my opinion. But I think not everybody needs to be a night after Mania or a week after Mania debut. Some people could just be called up at the Rumble. And I think she's fine. I think she's more than fine. Not after tonight, but she's more than fine.
And well said, James. I hear what you're saying, and it makes sense. I'm still on my camp, I think.
You're like, James, you made a great, compelling argument. It was well thought out. It was well articulated. I don't care. And you know what? That is your God-given right. That is your God-given right as an American. I respect it. I respect you. I would do the same. You could have come up with the best argument, and I'll say, you're wrong.
It's not that I don't care. I respectfully disagree. But speaking of people looking great, Tiffany, she always looks great. But I also really, really liked her gear this week. It's yellow plaid. It's Clueless inspired, and even Naomi comes out to confront Tiffany because Bayley wants to face Naomi, and Tiffany's like, "What? Why?" And Tiffany's like, "I've beaten you, Naomi," and Naomi's like, "Well, I'm going to beat you, Clueless Tiffany," and I'm like, "There we go." And James, why don't you talk about this match? Because I only caught really one good part of it.
The match was fine. The match was okay. I'm again a little bitter. I do want to address the comments real quick. Danny saying the battle royals aren't good. They have shining moments in an otherwise sea of mediocrity. And it's nice for the winners to win it, but I never care about the match anymore. It's just hard for me to. Navarro saying Tiffany losing tonight was fine. If Naomi lost, what's the point of bringing her back? She would have been very irrelevant. I agree with that concept, Navarro. The problem, friend, is that Naomi has already lost on the main roster since coming back. In this instance, to Tiffy in what was less than a 3-minute squash match. So what's worse, bringing somebody back to lose or bringing somebody back and muddying them with 50-50 booking? This, in my opinion, hurt Tiffany equally as bad as how it hurt Naomi to lose to her in those 2 minutes. Because what did this win do for Tiffany then? It means nothing when she won it. So just weird booking, in my opinion. If that first match didn't happen, I would have agreed with you. But unfortunately, they had already done it. Navarro saying Tiffy is young. She'll have more chances to get the title or even just challenge for it. I trust in Papa H. I'm not worried about Tiffany in the long run at all. I just thought this was really stupid booking. That's really it.
I totally agree with you. And this definitely feels like a bad case of 50-50 booking. And I think a way around this is they could have had a triple threat match with another woman. I can't think of one off the top of my head that would be like worthy of, just being randomly slotted in. Like maybe Dakota Kai and
Chelsea Green, but she's tied up elsewhere, but she's someone you could just slot in at any point.
Yeah. Like there was definitely ways to, like, Naomi versus I was about to say Bianca, Naomi versus Bayley. That sounds like a good match to me. And I'm into it. Like, let's see it. Great. But I don't think we needed to do the 50-50 booking. And it's like, we've just had bad situations where both Tiffany and Naomi haven't looked good. And let's face it, like Bayley's not going to drop the title to her first challenger.
Someone's going to do it eventually. I know it's not going to be Bayley, but somebody's going to do it eventually.
Well, I could see in some world, maybe if Tiffany was the number one contender, maybe she might drop it to Tiffany.
Yeah. Just going back to Danny's comments, Tiffy shouldn't win all the time. She's not that type of heel. She's weirdly dominant, but I agree. She shouldn't be a monster heel either. I do agree with you, Danny. Naomi has no credibility. So sad. It's sad. You're not wrong, but it's sad.
Don't watch TNA. James watches TNA, so he has very high stock in Naomi. The one thing I will say about this match, it was a great moment where Tiffany goes for the best moonsault ever. Naomi, I think she gets out of the way, and Tiffany lands on her feet and does a roll. And this is unfortunately how the match ends. She's kind of just like, ha, like you thought you got me and you didn't. And Naomi was like, surprise, B. And she rolls her up and gets the 1, 2, 3. And it's like, ah. I
mean, I don't mind. I get what you're saying. I don't mind it because you want to see veterans outsmart the rookies. It's what those years of experience gives you. But I hear you. Danny's saying Dakota needs wins more than Naomi. I agree with you. I will forever carry the flag for Dakota. Yeah, it'll go away. I'll forever carry the flag for Dakota to win a title. I have no Stop it. Stop trying to go for it. I don't know how it happens. It happens sometimes. But I will forever hold on to the flag or carry the torch for Dakota to win a title. I'm never expecting it to happen though. It would be great. It will be great if it ever happens. I don't have any real hope or expectations for it to happen.
I really hope that Raquel and them get back to, hopefully Raquel gets better. They can get back together, kind of do like a Shawn Michaels Diesel type scenario and definitely get that title, get one of the singles titles on to Dakota. I think she'd be perfect for this apparent intercontinental title that they've been talking about, but apparently they're doing a women's North American title in NXT, which is just the worst idea ever, in my opinion.
It feels like they're doing it to test drive it to see how people are going to like it for the main roster. And it sucks because the NXT women's division is great. It just doesn't have the numbers to justify it, but it is a great and strong division. But yeah, it's weird. Navarro in the comments saying possible next week Tiffy interferes and costs Naomi. Maybe they get a feud for Backlash. Maybe. Very possible. We'll see. Or maybe it does lead to a triple threat for the title at Backlash. Who knows? Danny saying Matt was knocking on the door of greatness. King Coda all the way. And you know it. Welcome to the comments. You know it. Can't stick the landing around, but just stop. Can't stick around, but just stop by to give a thumbs up. Thank you, buddy. Always a pleasure to have you here. You know it. Hope you, if you didn't get to watch SmackDown, go give it a look, or at the very least, check out the stream when you can later on. We're
almost done. We're getting close to the end.
Yeah. NXT has more numbers to justify the mid-card title. ... I you know what? Maybe you're right. I wouldn't know. I have no idea who's on that roster right now.
It just seems like a bunch of like pretty former athletes. I mean, there's obviously exceptions. Don't get me wrong. Like Tiffany is perfect because yes, she is like a former very attractive athlete, but she took to this like water and she's like she's absolutely great. But a lot of the women, and it's not even just the women, a lot of the people in NXT, it's like people that were never into wrestling, know nothing about wrestling, and are just very attractive former athletes. And it's
but that's just the future. That's the future of what WWE is looking for. It's not a woman thing. It's not a man thing. It's how they're going to be. Like, I'm sure if there are standouts on the indies, they will take them, but it's not what they're inherently looking for anymore. So either you got to get on board with it, or you just you stay away.
That's why I don't watch NXT now.
But it's going to be the future of WWE because all those NXT people are going to go to the main roster eventually.
Well, hopefully we can get the old guard just to hold on to, like, you know, how the old guards held on to it before. It's like, call in the old guard to
look.
Let's move on.
Yeah. No, Dev, they did not. Raw and SmackDown got new women's singles champion. No, it's NXT that's getting it. And we're just hoping that eventually WWE's main roster will get a singles mid-card championship. Daniel Hernandez, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm just fucking with him. Gigi Dolan for mid-card champ, he says. I completely agree. I think she'd be perfect for it. I think she'd be absolutely perfect for it. So we could hope. And then Danny again saying NXT greater than SmackDown. You know, man, I believe you. Who knows? It's possible. I'm not watching it. I stuck around for tonight because it's Mania. But I ain't doing this every week. But yeah, let's move on.
Piper Niven's back. Great to see Piper Niven. Makes me kind of think maybe she would have been ready for Mania, but again, you can't fit everybody on the card. I get it. But Piper Niven's back with Chelsea Green. Happy to see this because it didn't seem like they were really invested in Chelsea as a singles like star while Piper was gone. I think that's a mistake on their part. But regardless, they're in a backstage segment with Nick Aldis. Always good to see Nick Aldis. And they're like, hey, you should consider us for the draft. You know, we're great. And he's like, yeah, I'll definitely do that. In the meantime, like, I can totally get you a match for tonight. And they're like, perfect. Nick Aldis does one of those kind of like eye rolled type of things at the end. And so they come out. And of course, who are they facing? But the Storm, Jade Cargill, and Bianca Belair in a quick squash. I mean, I guess I'm just happy to see Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, of course, as well. But I think Chelsea Green has just been really, really entertaining this past year and a half. And I just hope they will consider her for Money in the Bank as a winner. I think it's going to be either her or Tiffany. I think it's too new for Tiffany, but we'll get there in the coming months. We still have time for that. Any thoughts on this quick squash, James?
I'm very intrigued to see if Jade and Bianca is a tag team that has legs. I will not be shocked to see them take the tag titles off of Damage Control. It feels like it's a Mania match waiting to happen too. So I'm very invested in the Jade Bianca story. They've already moved Naomi away from them. So yeah, I'm intrigued. Let's see. Going back to comments, Danny saying Green is winning Money in the Bank. I'm inclined to agree with you. I don't think Tiffany needs it. Danny saying, yep. Same page, buddy. As always. Not as always, but most of the time. 95% of the time.
I definitely don't think she needs it, but I could see them still giving it to her.
Yeah. Ryback in the comments. Is it the Ryback? I'd be very intrigued if this is the Ryback. Breaking news. Tony Khan suffered a heart attack at home and fell to the ground. CM Punk opened champagne as soon as he heard the news. That is toxic as fuck, Ryback. Be better. Be better.
Wait, Punk doesn't even drink. He's straight edge.
I mean, if anybody would make a comment like that, it would be Ryback. Real or otherwise. Navarro in the comments saying Chelsea or Tiffy for Money in the Bank. Yes, same, Matt. Yep, we're all on the same page here.
I think the thing is Chelsea will never, like, the way she's booked, unless like someone slips on a banana peel, she'll never win a title. So I think she absolutely needs Money in the Bank, and whether you decide to have her cash in successfully or not, she will be great with the briefcase.
No, yeah, absolutely. We're just gonna skip over. Everybody's talking about the Ryback making an appearance, but
we can just move on to where
yeah.
I'm
gonna put him in timeout.
Yeah, do your thing.
Final Girl. Hello, Final Girl. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you had a safe trip, safe flight. Navarro saying Chelsea is gonna win it and be the first to lose. Don't Navarro. I love you, bro. Don't do this to me. You're right. It would make so much sense for her character. I don't want it. Don't do that. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't you put that evil on me.
I'd be okay with it if she won the title like within like 3 months afterwards. Maybe put it in a triple threat where like she, steals it.
He started a movement here because Danny agrees there needs to be a woman who fails to cash in, and she is perfect. Stop it. It needs to happen that way, James. No!
I'm enjoying it. I'm sorry.
Or she has to run out of time. Look, I'm sorry, Matt. I just got to address this. There should never be a Money in the Bank winner who runs out of time. There should be Money in the Bank winners who are afraid of running out of time. But it doesn't make any sense to run out of time. You could literally call it at any point. So if you're a week away from losing that briefcase, you call the match for that Monday Night Raw. You just say, I'm fucking doing it because I'd rather lose the match than lose the briefcase. It should never happen. I will stand strong on this point. There should never be a Money in the Bank briefcase holder who loses the briefcase due to time running out.
The writers have been very dumb in the past. Like, there was that time Ziggler had to put it on the line against Cena. And it's like, why wouldn't you just cash in before this match? Like, he had plenty of opportunities, but of course they didn't even address it. But let's not go there. Let's just go to the main event because I know you got to do New Japan.
Chelsea doesn't want to have the title anyway. It doesn't matter. Bryan Danielson doesn't want to have the AEW title, but we disagree with him too.
Doesn't matter what she wants.
Exactly. Well done. Yes, there should. It would be funny, Danny. I disagree. Theory should have been the guy. Roman was never around. Champ just no-shows. At least that would have been a good argument for it. But again, just call it. If he doesn't show up for the match, he forfeits the fucking title.
But it would be a count out. Like that. I don't know if that would work like that. I see what you're saying though. Yeah. Do we have more comments or should we
No, let's move on. I'm getting all worked up and hot.
I know. I love it.
I don't have the voice for it.
I appreciate your enthusiasm. So we're moving on to the main event. It's AJ Styles versus Rey Mysterio versus Kevin Owens. And we have one of these fun like camera segments. We start in the back with Kevin Owens cutting his promo about like why he wants to win this match and yada, yada, yada. And he goes into a rant and it's really entertaining. It's really funny. He talks about Rey Mysterio, how they both have things in common, that they both have sons, and that both of their sons are taller than them. Have you seen Owen Owens lately? Not even 18 yet.
He's 16. He's 16, and he's like 6'7".
Yes, he towers over his father. It's quite impressive.
Yep.
Guys like me and James remember when he was just a little itty baby
on top of Excalibur.
Pinning Excalibur for the 1, 2, 3.
Oh God, I feel so old. Oh, that was 16 years ago.
Yep. Yeah. So very funny stuff out of Kevin Owens. He then also starts making fun of Dominic, saying he's like the worst and awful. And he comes out to the there's the camera's still with him this whole time. Like he throws the mic to like one of the stage hands. It's funny, he even says them by name. I kind of like these little interactions. Like, I don't need everyone's backstory, but it is funny how like Cody Rhodes is always doing like the fist bump with that guy backstage. And now we've got like Jeff or whoever, like, Kevin throws the mic to one guy. He tells
there's no greater wrestler tech hand love story than John Cena and Stu the cameraman.
That's
the most beautiful wrestling love story outside of the Golden Lovers. But keep going.
Because we don't really know what Stu looks like. Because
I know.
Fun stuff all around. And Kevin goes to the ring. Camera's sticking with them the whole time. I think they go to commercial, and then AJ and then Ray come out, and they have this match. And it's a good match, hard hitting, fun stuff. Why do you give any nitty gritty on this match? You want to talk specifically about spot?
I was worried going into it because despite being two of the best talents in the world, Kevin Owens and AJ Styles have anti-chemistry. They have never, in my opinion, put on a good match together. They put on okay, watchable matches, but almost all of their matches from their feuds going back in the day on I don't want to say OG SmackDown, but the house that Styles built.
The U.S. title feud.
Yeah, they were not able to put on good matches together. And I don't know why, just some guys don't have chemistry together. But so I was worried going into this match, but they were good. I think having Ray there definitely helped the chemistry and helped the flow of it all. And I love the finish. I adored the finish. I'll let you get into the finish. I thought the finish was so good. It really hyped up how important the outcome was to the winner, that they were willing to hit a move like that. And it took advantage of the triple threat aspect. So just strong finish and get into it. And then we'll talk about the ramifications after.
Sure. And I think for the most part, I agree with your sentiment on KO and Styles. I remember I liked their SummerSlam match a lot, but other than that, it was just kind of whatever. And especially the Battleground match was especially bad.
Yeah.
So with this, before we get to the finish, AJ Styles. Ray does the slide to the outside.
Yeah.
Styles catches him in the fireman's carry, and does the fireman carry? The FU, the attitude adjustment, whatever you want to call it. The Dreamer Driver gives it to Ray on the apron. That's the hardest part of the ring.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
Yes. And so the end of the match is AJ Styles gets hit with a 619. And I think Kevin throws Ray to the outside. And KO goes for a senton on AJ. AJ puts his knees up. Then he gets into it with Ray in the corner. And he hits a Styles Clash on Ray on top of Kevin Owens from the corner, the second rope, or was it the top rope?
It was from the ropes. The ropes.
And he then pins Ray, who's essentially taken two moves here.
Yeah.
It was just a beautiful, beautiful sequence. AJ Styles gets the 1-2-3 as I suspected. He's going on next week to face off against LA Knight.
Yeah.
For the number one contendership to the WWE Championship. LA Knight enters the ring, and they're eye to eye. They're kind of jabber jawing. The show ends with a few minutes left. I felt like maybe they could have started each other or just
SmackDown will always end 2 minutes early.
Oh, okay.
It's how Fox does their television programming. They end if something's supposed to end, if the end of the show is 10 o'clock, it'll end at 9:58.
Oh,
It's just so they could segue easier into their next programming. It's very weird. It takes a lot of getting used to if you're not watching regularly. But I've learned that just by watching SmackDown over the last couple of years that, that's just, you think it's an abrupt ending, but realistically, it's their actual cutoff.
good to know.
Nope.
So I thought this was a fun match, really good. There was some crazy spots, fun stuff. And I think the right guy won. I think we talked about 50-50 booking earlier. I wouldn't consider, I think AJ is going to win next week. And
I think so too.
I wouldn't consider it 50-50 booking. I mean, technically it is, but I don't think it's a case of bad 50-50 booking.
I'm struggling with it because I've seen it in other instances. Like it happened a few years ago with Bobby Lashley and Roman.
That's what I was thinking earlier.
And everybody shit on it. Nobody liked it. And I don't think I'm going to like this. Even though AJ makes more sense as an opponent for Cody than LA does at this point. Because you don't want two baby faces for that first feud for Cody. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a weird choice. It's a weird, unless they think they could have a much better match next week on SmackDown than they had at Mania, which maybe they can. I don't know. I don't know why they're going this way. I would have booked a different matchup. I wouldn't have booked themselves into this position.
It definitely wouldn't have been my first choice for sure. I think we've kind of gotten used to LA Knight winning some big matches, but then also losing some matches. I don't think this is going to affect him terribly. I think AJ will win by shenanigans. I'm hoping some kind of heavy shenanigans to protect LA Knight and also to make AJ seem more like an asshole. Finally heard his music because I missed it because again I was switching seats at Mania.
It's not good. I don't like it.
Yeah, neither. And I've heard mixed things about their Mania match. Like I had one friend who watched it at home who we usually agree on stuff. I trust his opinion. He said it was like a really good match. So I'm going to have to go back and watch myself. Did you watch it just at the show?
Yeah, no, I haven't watched the entire Mania card back yet, but either night. I've watched some of the key stuff, but that wasn't one of them yet. Watching it there, it was a little bit of a letdown, but it wasn't bad. It was just there as far as I felt, Nothing was egregious about it.
That's a lot of AJ's WrestleMania matches, unfortunately.
I mean, yes and no, because the Jericho match was good. It just wasn't, nobody cared because it was their second or third match at that point.
Fourth.
At that point? I thought the fourth came later.
No, it was the fourth.
They got 4 matches in less than 2 months?
Yep.
That's fucking crazy. The Shane match was the best match of that Mania. The Nakamura match, people were just the match wasn't bad. Just people were deflated because Nakamura lost. People did it. No, I think it was. I think it was fine. It wasn't a good match. It was fine, and especially when we deal with the fact that I think it was either AJ or Knock was really hurt going into that match. So I'm willing to give them a mulligan on that one. AJ versus Taker, classic, the Boneyard match. All right, for what we were dealing with a global pandemic and what was going to be Taker's retirement, we got something good out of it.
I love the Firefly Funhouse match. I wasn't a big fan of the Boneyard.
See, but you know what the difference is between the Firefly Funhouse match and the Boneyard match? What? It's the difference between a Blumhouse horror movie and an A24 horror movie. Neither are bad. Neither are wrong. It's just you go to A24 for the psychological and you go to Blumhouse for the traditional. And that's what the difference was between the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match. I also am now struggling to think of what other AJ matches were at Mania.
Edge.
Really?
Yeah, he had a match with Edge. It was fine. Wasn't good.
What Mania was that?
2 years ago.
Wasn't that Finn?
No, Finn was last year. Edge and AJ was 2 years ago. Remember AJ cut his head on the way to the ring? Wow, see? No, not a good match. But
Yeah, I'll give you that one. I will give you that one. Holy crap. But yeah, guys, that was SmackDown. Some good stuff happened. I think the high point of the night for me was the Bloodline. I think they've got a very exciting story arc ahead of them, and I think Tama Tonga is not the last new face we're going to be seeing introduced to this group. Very intrigued to see the future for Jimmy Uso. The triple threats were good. Not looking forward to the one-on-one rematch next week, but the triple threats that we got were good. Bayley, I'm glad she got her moment. I'm glad she's earned it. So good for Bayley. And yeah, SmackDown, I think more or less delivered tonight. What do you think?
I agree. How long do you think Tiffany and Naomi went this time?
They hit a commercial break.
So they're improving better than the
Yeah.
3-minute squash. So
Yeah. So we got two women's matches tonight, and one of them wasn't a squash. So baby steps.
absolutely.
But you want to take us home, Matt, or you want me to do it?
Yeah. Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoyed our episode, and we hope you enjoyed SmackDown. I'm Matthew Cascone. That's Jane Cesante, and this is the Mark It Down podcast. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube.
And the Facebook, and wherever you listen to podcasts, go check us out there. Yeah. We're everywhere, baby. Go check us out on the TikToks.
Yeah, and you can find us individually as well. We're not hard to find. Take care, spike your hair.
Woo, woo, woo. You know it. Later, guys. I got this.
Okay.
I should have this. And bye-bye.